It's Feature Friday. And so I thought we would show you a feature that may or may not be working. No, we actually solved the problem this morning and it should be completely working by the time anyone sees this video. So let me share my screen. And in fact, this kind of goes along before I started recording today. We talked about how we've made things like version 1.0 was very simple. You can only do A, B, C in that order. And if you don't want A, B, or C, too bad. You have to go somewhere else. And then we were like, oh, but we love you all. We want you to be able to do like C plus and C minus and B plus and maybe add D. And so when we started adding features and things that allowed you to rearrange things a little bit, use things in a little bit different way, modify things. And then all of a sudden, we're like, oh crap, it's not simple anymore. Because one of the points of A plus B equals C is that like it always works. But when we're starting to make a little bit of changes here and there, you can see that there can be some issues. So one of the things I wanted to show you today is one of the changes, or the feature, hence Feature Friday, full circle here, is that the feature I'm going to show you actually complicates things just a little bit, but also simplifies the things a little bit. So one of the things and we're on the offer page, and those of you who've come to Feature Friday before recognize this. We've done this before. And this is for a digital download of a Shark Craft pack. This is my offer page, meaning this is what people are going to land on when they want to either download it for free or buy it for a price. Okay. So when we get to this section, on your offer page, think about you being on this on the phone or on the. In fact, let's open this up and let's see. I'm going to grab the link and so we can look at it in real time. Okay, so this is what I'm working on. I'm going to open up the offer page that we're talking about right here. So now we're on the actual live offer page, not in the editor. So when we hit this button, the action of that button scrolls you down to the offer, where you sign up. The scroll down to that box. So the button action is a scroll down. Well, now we've given you the ability to change that. So use this very sparingly with great intention, because what I can do is click on this button so right now it's linked to the next step, meaning the next step is scrolling you down to that box. But what if you, for instance, were deleting that box and using this as a link tree page? Think about, hey, here's all my or a product feature page, or a mini website. Here's all about me, that kind of thing. So that you're not wanting them to scroll down to that bottom, but you're wanting them to grab something or download something or go to another website. Well, those buttons were automatically programmed to send you down to the bottom, but you're like, well, there's a perfectly good button here. I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. So you can see this is going to be fraught with problems. So I'm going to be indoctrinating people for a little while, because like it's set up to do what we thought it was going to do. But if you want to deviate from that, then there's ways to do that now, because you could say, no, I actually want to send them to another place, or no, I want to send them to another place, and you can change that. Now, the thing that's going to be fixed right now is the fact that right now this box opens up on the button, which means you cannot edit the button text. that will be fixed within the next hour because that's stupid.
That was one of my questions today because my button language doesn't match what it's doing.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
funny story about that. So, the first version of this, when they put the button, it was up away from the button, but the when you clicked on the button text, it popped the button open, so you couldn't backspace. I mean, like when you clicked on the button, the pop up happened, and so I
Yeah.
was like, y'all, you can't do that. Like when you click on that, you have to be able to backspace. So they fixed that, but in fixing that, they put the button on. They put it on top of the button. So, so like I was like, I may be crazy, but this is still not working. So we have them en route to, that should be live pretty soon because they the problem is the guy that was working on it is on the other side of the world and his browser was not putting that button on top of the button. Like the pop-up wasn't on top of the button. So he was not seeing what we were seeing. And so we were literally like being crazy at each other. But so this is what I'm telling you though. I want you to be very thoughtful about this. We're always going to default it to the what Pagewheel has historically done. Like, so the offer page buttons will scroll down to the bottom. So let's have a little quiz here. If we go into the delivery page, what does the first two buttons on the delivery page normally do? The download. So if you willingly override the download, just be aware that the download no longer happens. Okay. So that's the default will be that next step. And but you're now able to overwrite it with your own vision. Just be aware that sometimes your own vision may not be as thought out as ours was. And I don't mean to judge. I'm just saying when we're in the middle of making these things, sometimes we like forget where we are and we're like, no, this button should do this. And then when that happens, it can be problems. Now, one of the things I've asked them is to not launch this until you can undo it. That was not the case yesterday. So I would just be wary of overwriting it until you're totally sure. And by Monday, you should be able to reverse your decision because that would be a good thing. So the other thing I wanted to kind of talk about today, let's go back to the offer page. So this is the page that you would share. So if people would come buy something, people would come opt in, that kind of stuff. When you look at the digital products, and I think of the digital product layout as kind of our foundational layout. That's where we started. That's all of these others are hacks of the digital product layout. So, and one of the things, people are getting really kind of stuck on, oh, I'm doing a 5-day challenge, so I need to use the 5-day challenge layout. Or I'm creating when it comes to a live event, you kind of do want to use that layout, but I'm doing a short and sweet, or I want a really long sales page. So I need to make sure I choose the really long one, or, insert whatever you're thinking here. Y'all, it's all a hack of the original digital product for the most part. So all of these things that are listed, with a few exceptions, are basically we just added and subtracted the normal like layout, meaning that you could go in and add something just like we did, for the layout. So all these things are still mix and match. And so don't get worried about it too much. Now, the one thing I would say is what's really key here is all of these have this opt-in box. If it is a opt-in, this is just an opt-in box collecting information. If it's a paid product, this is the first step in you collecting money through Stripe. So this is very, very key for 98% of the time you use this page. And that's one of the reasons why we for a long time wouldn't let you remove it. We're really stuck on like making you do this because it's kind of like that whole parental thing. Like it's best for you if you keep it there because you're going to need it either for an opt-in or for a purchase. But some of you are now using this page as a feature page, as a link tree page, where you're like, hey, I don't need that opt-in. So this is where when you come to creating a product in Pagewheel now, you're thinking, do I need the opt-in? Like, do I need that box? Am I going to just have them landing on this page as a link tree? Or am I going to use it like we've always been using it for years and years and years? Well, maybe year and year. So that's the big decision now is that opt-in. If you're like, no, I want to use this as a link tree, then what you're going to do is you see this feature page, no opt-in. That is the one that removes that opt-in. But be aware, if you remove the opt-in, then there's no page 2, there's no delivery email. So all of those will be dead. They'll be there, but they'll be dead to you pages and dead to your customer pages. So that's kind of the opt-in versus no opt-in. And then you can see if you have no opt-in, then this is where these like the next step makes no sense because right now those buttons are going down to that opt-in. But if you have no opt-in, then like it's going to go down there, but it's going to be no reason. So this is where the nuance of the changing the buttons comes into play. So for 98% of what you're probably doing, you do not even need to worry about this. Like this is something that once we get it fixed where you can edit the text and stuff like that, you'll just be doing what you normally did because you'll want to use it as it's originally connected, because that's one of the reasons why you're here is because everything's connected. You're not having to be in ClickFunnels or go high level where you're having to say, okay, this button is going to go where? Let me go grab that link. One of the beautiful things that we've done is you don't have to think about that. We're just going to do it for you. But if you are going to go outside of the normal realm, you're going to choose a no opt-in, then it makes sense that you don't want that scrolling coming down. So a little bit of just intentionality when it comes to a lot of the stuff for the most of the time. And if you're new around here, what I would do if I were you, and I say this all the time in chat, and by the way, this is me right here, this little chat button. I say this to you guys all the time, is I would just, whether you're super intentional, I would make 2 products. 2 products. If you make 2 products from start to finish, you've taken a master class in Pagewheel. You understand how to do it. You understand what's possible. And then it makes it a lot easier for you to say, oh, I want to launch a lead magnet in the next 30 minutes. You could do it. If you've made 2 products in the Pagewheel, you could launch a lead magnet in 30 minutes without any problem. So because once your brain understands that you start with step 1 and you go through all the steps, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to do then variations on those steps without getting into trouble. And I have not seen anyone be able to like delete an entire page yet. So I think we're good on that. But so anyway, just be aware that as we're throwing out some new features, a lot of times those new features are the exception because we're running into, okay, hey, someone needs to use this as X. Let's go ahead and make that possible. But for the most part, I really am excited about how we've still maintained the simplicity of the initial glance. So when you come to something initially, it's still very simple if you're using it in the original intent, but behind the scenes that you can add things with the plus or subtract things with the trash can or the eyeball and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we're headed with this. So if you're new around here, start with a few products with the intentionality of the original. Just follow the instructions and do what it says. And then once you become comfortable with that, it's going to be a lot easier to use these without freaking out. But no worries, if you freak out, right here is this button. I will talk you off the ledge, and it will probably be with a Loom video. So that's my job. I'm here for you. I'm a ledge talker. So
Yes, I can affirm that. I can affirm that. Hey, Holly, I have a question
yeah,
about that. Can you go back to the opt-in box?
absolutely.
And because I was just looking at this on my website,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's above that. Okay, so go up just a little bit. Right
This,
there, how to get
yes.
started. I'm assuming, can I hyperlink these three boxes, the easy sign up, instant download?
Yep. You see that?
Okay,
Yeah.
then just do it that way. Okay.
Yeah, and
'Cause
by the way, just FYI, this is something that I have screenshotted them. In fact, those of you who are making products all the time that are included digital download, you might want to screenshot this right now because the AI has gone a little crazy on some of these, and it's created fictional things in these boxes like book a call. So I have screenshotted this, the some of the older products, so that when I get to that on a newer product and the AI goes a little crazy, I can easily replace that. But what we're going to be doing is overriding the AI with this on the digital products. But you are able to edit this, go in and edit it. You can hyperlink it. You can do whatever you want to. This is for most people is kind of the, like, hey, we're not selling selling your email list for $1 million, hey, you can trust me kind of thing. But other people are using it in different ways. So
So that's funny because that's what I did to it. It popped up book a call on that first
yeah.
one. And so then I'm like, oh, we could do that. So I want to know more. So the first one says book a call, and then the next one is a link to the growth club, and then the last one's a link to the mastermind club.
which totally makes sense for some of you to use
Edit
that
them like
call to
that.
action earlier. The Traditionally a lead magnet, like if we're just using it as a lead magnet or something, traditionally, and by the way, tradition is on the internet is what, a whole 4 years. So like it's not like hundreds of years of tradition. So that's why, like, take it with a grain of salt. Would be one call to action on the offer
Single
page to get
page.
them to that thing. But that doesn't mean you can't test other things or have a good reason to use it for other things. But that's one of the reasons why Pagewheel would prompt you to do one call to action here, but you, being a human with a better brain than the AI does, could say, hey, I want to try something else today. So yeah, override it if you need to. And then just check
Yeah.
this right now, like, until we get this fixed, because like it's doing it's creating things that don't exist in these boxes sometimes. So
That's funny. That's
AI.
funny. Well, and then I got thinking too, it's like maybe I'm trying to do too much with one page. We'll see. If it
Mhm.
if it doesn't work, I'll go back and make it more simple. But
Yeah, and like the thing is it really depends on your audience. Like, and I think about both. In fact, several of you in this group, you have an audience that knows you and loves you and embraces what you're doing. They're not like, oh, I'm nervous about putting my email in. So it's a very different thing than someone who's using this to a cold audience or something like that. So like, treat them like humans. They're humans. So
yeah.
all right, let's see.
Kim's gonna work on deleting your whole page.
It's a challenge. Oh man, if you do that after I said that, I will come after you. And
Right, but Now that you've said it, you know what's going to happen. It's out there in the ether, right?
I did. I am a believer in the law of attraction. I probably shouldn't have put that out there.
It will never, ever, ever be possible.
I was like,
We're saying that.
wait, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, fate. Don't test me.
Your programmers are going, oh, why did she say that?
Oh my goodness. No, they're more afraid of Rachel than me.
It's afraid of Rachel.
Because she'll just say, "Oh, we'll just make that," and then they're like,
Yes.
"Well, wait, do you understand that's like 6 months
It's
and
not
$150,000?" And she's like, "Oh, I thought it was easy."
in her brain. It is.
Well, and if she sat down and did it, she probably could do it in 24 hours.
That's true because she doesn't sleep.
she is like she is like the Energizer Bunny.
She really is. She really is. But she's definitely the idea person, like a visionary
Oh
kind
my
of thing.
gosh. But the funny thing
Absolutely.
is she's the idea person, but she has like a crazy vortex of workability like no one I know.
Yeah. And then she's got 6 kids. Holy,
Yeah, don't it? Yeah.
hats
See,
off.
we're all
Hats off.
underachievers. That's why I was like, I
Let's all
always
look bad.
laughed and said, I'm the underachiever with only 3 kids.
Same. I gave up at 3. I'm like, that's enough.
Whew. Yeah, yeah. When we got together, like when we shot the pictures for the books, when we get together, we have 9 children.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That must
and
have been
then,
hilarious.
and
And
then
there were kids then.
that Rachel, she's like, well, we need to get some other kids, because
Why?
9 is not enough. so
You have a crowd.
so when we were shooting the pictures for the books, because of course, like when you're doing like activity and craft books, you have to have the craft and activity like in different stages. and
Yeah.
oh, by the way, all the books are 101.
Yeah.
so
It sounded good.
the spreadsheets that were required for all the supplies and all the things, and then oh, let's have 13 kids come over, 9 of
Yeah.
which you birthed or you adopted.
Oh no, not chaos at all.
It was so chaos. Like it was so chaos.
I can just imagine you going home at the end of the day.
Oh, it was at my house.
Surprised
Let's
you guys
just
are still
say there was
friends.
my house was completely like concrete floors, so like because I had 3 boys, like I said, I need people to be able to rollerblade and not break anything through my house.
Hey.
So my house was prepared, but I still like we put like drop cloths over the entire all my furniture.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it was fun. We had that was some good days.
That's was that before KDP? It was, eh? Like you guys published, was it
Yeah,
self-published?
so yeah, because we publish all 4 books are with Page Street, which is a book house under Macmillan.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And then
but we
you,
really only did big photo shoots for the first 2, because that were the ones that Rachel and I were the most involved in.
yeah, but the magic for you guys was the ability to move traffic to the books, right? That was
Yeah.
where things really started to take off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, so the crazy thing is that we got like the book deal came because they saw the social like the ability to drive traffic, and they had it was actually when that happened. Rachel was doing other stuff. She wasn't super involved in the blog at that time, but she had told me, I knew that one of her dreams was like to write a book. I couldn't care less about the book. So when they approached me for, hey, we want you to write a book because you run kids activities blog, and I was like, I'll do it if Rachel can write the book with me, because like I don't really care about the book.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
didn't realize, because the book just sounded like a lot of work, which it totally was.
It does, yeah.
Um, but what I didn't realize was that the book would like people are just really impressed with books.
It changes how people feel about you,
It
as
was
far as
super weird. Like they
yeah,
literally like we like it was exactly the same thing that I published every day online, and
yeah.
then all of a sudden, because I have a book in the bookstore, people are like, "Oh, Holly, you've really made it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel like you don't know." Like,
Yeah,
but yeah,
and
yes, I have. I've really made
respect.
it.
It's a respect for an author, somebody that did something that we're,
Yeah.
I don't know, afraid to do, or we think it's too big, or but there's something about it that makes you an authority. All of a sudden you're,
I'm super fancy now because I have books,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
it
You
is
have
super
way
funny.
more
Like,
projects on your blog.
I know, but like even today, like, my neighbors be like, I went to my friend's house and your book was there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but like my writing's with you all the time. Like,
And you can get a book on Amazon now so fast, and you don't, like, all of us can be published authors, no kidding, because you can put it on Amazon KB. What is it? KDP. It's not the self-publishing. What's the one where they print on demand,
print on
right?
demand. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So people can order the book I made on Amazon Prime and have it at their door in 2 days.
That's incredible. Isn't that crazy? Like,
Yeah. And it's a
well,
physical book.
I just remember even back, like, a million years ago when I was like on the high school yearbook or the college yearbook staff, and we were like, sending big layouts of things,
Yeah.
these big layouts that we had to put in there. We'd send them in the mail. I mean, it would take literally, 9 months back and forth to have like the yearbook like laid out and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
When
to
you
be
look at
able
the
to
yearbook,
just
you're like,
like
that's
digitally, like, you know, do this, it's crazy. But anyway, so yeah, so we're super fancy because but like that, yeah. Oof.
it does. So it's one of the strategies is write a book, and you become, suddenly you're an authority, and you can use that, to take advantage of, like, to put it everywhere and say, I've written this book, and all of a sudden people have a different opinion of you.
Yeah, and it's also good for blackmail because like my publisher on the fourth book, because every time I was like, no, I didn't really want to do the first one, and I absolutely didn't want to do the second one. And I was like, no to the third one.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then when he came back for the fourth one, which is a compilation because it's 500,
yeah.
he was like, he goes, I'm publishing with or without you. And I was like, but I run the biggest site in this space. I can't not have my name on this book.
Damn
And
it.
he knew that. I was like, man,
I was
Bill,
going to say do blackmail with a book, but that's a whole
I
other book.
I literally said, I hate you. I do not want to do another book. And he's like, I knew this.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, damn him.
What can you do, right? So it's part of your story, right? And now you can tell
Yeah,
other
it's part
people.
of my story. The unwilling author. I only took the first book because I knew it was Rachel's dream. And then every book
By the
after
third,
that,
she's not interested anymore, and now I'm stuck with it.
now I'm stuck with it. Welcome to my world with Rachel.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so true.
It's such a good adventure.
Really, like, how long have you guys been partners now? It's been a while, eh?
Yeah, so I figured this out the other day because it was the, let's see, it's 15 years, 16 years. I figured out the year that because so when we met, I was still writing anonymously online. And because it was pre-Facebook.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
yeah, and so I like the reason why I even started DFW bloggers because we're both in the Dallas area was because there were so many bloggers but we were most of us were anonymous, so we
Mhm.
would get together in real life and meet each other, and that was one of the DFW
Build that
blogger
community, yeah,
um,
yeah. It's like bulletin board
meetups that
days.
I met her. We met at a playground in the middle of a mall for a play date.
And you had no idea what was coming
I had
for you.
no idea what has. Yeah, she had 4 kids at that time. This girl with 4 kids shows up, and
Yeah.
it was really fun. So,
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have no idea when we start out, like when we say yes to something, where we're gonna wind up.
you know, I just like follow the yeses. Like, there's a
So
reason
much
why
fun.
you said yes to something. You may not
Yeah.
know for years why.
I have no idea where it's going to take you in the end, but it's fun getting there.
Yeah, who was it? There was somebody I heard the other day that said, stop making goals. because they're gonna hamper you, like they're gonna pen you in. I'm like, I'm exactly that. Like, if I made gold, like I would never have gold this.
No, no, me neither. I was like, I said my whole life has been like chasing a butterfly, right? Like just wherever it goes, I just go.
I love that. Chasing a
Yeah,
butterfly.
yeah, it's been my whole life, right? And I mean, it's got me this far. So
That is your book.
that is it. Chasing
if
butterfly
I might, if I might rope you into
goals.
writing a book.
You're gonna have to dig deep to blackmail me, though.
I thought I would. I've lived
There's
a
not
life
that
that
much on the internet. I've been
blackmail
careful.
was possible.
All my blackmailable stuff happened before the internet was even a thing.
Yes, me too.
There might be the odd photo, but now well, I was with a bunch of friends. Now we're all older, we're in our 60s, and our kids are in their 20s and 30s. So we were at a big party one time, about 10 years ago. And one of my friend mothers said, "Oh my God, Kim, one of my kids found a picture of me smoking a doobie back in the day, an actual photograph." And I looked at her about 10 years ago and I said, "Denise," she goes, "What?" I said, "Tell her it was Photoshop. You can't trust anything you see now, kid. Come on."
Now you could just say it was AI.
Yeah, now it was AI. You can't believe anything you see. So, but that was like the only actual evidence was physical photos, and back
Physical
then you could
photos.
use them in a court of law.
Man, no, I know. And then the funny thing is then it's on brand for me just to spill all those secrets for good stories.
I actually am enjoying your newsletter, and it's helping me kind of how do I put it? Um, like be more human in my own, because I'm very prone to just like laying out the facts and giving them the facts and sending off, click here, do this, watch this video, and
Yeah.
no story, no logical reason, would just send it out.
Yeah,
So
and I'm doing that on purpose a little bit, because I think that's our only path through AI.
yeah, I think you're right.
Because AI is better at writing an email that's informational.
It is.
But what AI doesn't have is the quirky story or the ridiculous upside
Yeah,
down
even
world that
just
we live in.
there's another marketer, I forget what his name is. I have it written down here somewhere, and he talks about and I like it, is give a quick story, and then there's the segue is kind of a little bit of a lesson from the story, and
Hmm.
then to your offer based on that, right? And it
Yeah.
makes more sense to the human brain. Like, why would they buy this offer if you're kind of giving them a story about how it happened for you, and then this lesson that you learned from it, and then like I say, right in jump to the offer. So
Yeah,
I
and
thought it was interesting.
I'm taking you'll be getting a few emails about this subject right now. That here, let me write these down. um,
Okay.
because what I'm doing is writing a few emails on a gaff here. But so the interesting thing, and I'll put this in the email, is that like I'm really good at the story because I've
Yeah.
been writing stories for 20 some years now. I'm really bad at the lesson because like I've never like when I was writing for Kids Activities blog and even personal site, I never wanted to be the expert, like, because,
Right, right.
I'm about parenting or my kids, like, I don't want to be boxed into like the expert for parenting, which is farthest from the truth. So it's been really interesting. What I do is Rachel and I have a story vault,
Yeah.
where I write a lot of stories, and I'll talk to her and write her stories up. I know a lot of her stories, but then a lot of the stories of hers that you've read over the last few months, I wrote.
Yeah.
Even she just would tell me and I would write it because we have very similar writing style. But I was really bad about the segue, and she's really good at the segue, and so it was really funny. I'd be like, okay, like tell me a lesson. What did I
Yeah.
learn from this
Here's what I
story?
want to sell. How do I connect the two?
Because for me, it's all about the story. I'm just like, I'm in it for the story. And then I'm like, oh crap, we got to sell something here.
But I see, and maybe it's just me, but I really love analogies and similes and things like that. I
Hmm.
think that they help us. And again, I can't speak for everybody, but I really
Yeah.
feel like it helps us connect concepts we don't necessarily think we can understand to something we already know, and
Right.
and and that makes us feel like, oh, okay, I understood this, and that's like that, and that to me just helps me feel like, oh, okay, I can get this. So I think that the lesson from the story is a something I hadn't really thought about either, right? But I
Yeah.
was like, just makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I don't know if you get. I guess most everybody in here is old enough to remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Yep.
That and I that I love that. It's kind of what's in the back of my mind a lot of times, because when you look at a story, like quite honestly, one of the problems I have with like let's choose a lesson here is that you learned 432 things from that experience, and then you're like kind of like, oh, I have to sell X. So I'm like, oh well, I learned this. You know what I mean? Like so,
Yeah.
like
Oh
the
yeah.
the
And teach us
swervy the
lesson.
swervy the swerviness of the Choose Your Own Adventure book, like in the back of my mind is like, okay, even though maybe that wasn't the primary lesson I thought about, like it is something that like sits in the back of your mind that you learn from that experience. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Well,
agree. And I
guys,
think like
I
there's
gotta run. My mom's hollering at me. I don't, the
have a
joys
good
of living with
weekend.
a 95-year-old. I'll see
oh
you
hi.
later.
I love it. All right, guys, have an amazing weekend and let me know if anyone needs anything. And then Tuesday, according to y'all, I'm going to get more. Oh, let me see if Rachel responded to me real quick. Um, oh, okay. Tuesday, it's on the calendar around lunchtime.
Lunchtime at
Yep.
CT, is it? So
Yes.
1 o'clock here. Okay.
She'll be home by then, so it'll be CT. So, custom domains, I would watch first of all, if you look it on the calendar, like if you have the calendar, our training calendar, I'll
Google
make sure
Calendar.
you're on that. And then also watch the Facebook group, talk amongst yourselves. But Tuesday around noon Central Time, Rachel will probably just open up her Zoom room and walk people through the custom domains. She's working with the team to get a little bit more information before then, and they are actively working on it this weekend as far as getting a few of the things that have already come up. The good news is we do have several people that are launched on custom domains that are doing well. So there is there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we're headed that direction, which is way better than we were a week ago.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome.
So, all right, have an amazing weekend, everyone, and let me know if I can do anything for you. Bye.